This is the book 60 Catholics Who Changed the World. Why 60? There are probably many more. But we will show you all 60, and I chose one of them as just a sample to show you what each chapter is like. And I happened to choose Louis Pasteur. He is a Catholic who changed the world. And that gives you an idea how every chapter is formatted. They all have the same setup. People probably have always been aware of diseases that were caused by microorganisms, creating havoc by invading our bodies. But they didn't know they were caused by tiny invaders, so tiny that we can't even see them with the naked eye. Microscopes were needed to make those microbes visible. Yet we have always instinctively avoided people infected with leprosy, typhus, cholera, tuberculosis, syphilis, and the list goes on and on. But for a very long time, we didn't even have any idea why. The discovery of microorganisms and microbes is essential to modern medicine. The fields of microbiology and immunology would be impossible without this knowledge. So many people would still be dying at a large scale if we didn't know about these tiny microscopic invaders. We had been surrounded by them for centuries or even millennia, without knowing they existed. No wonder where the idea came from, that there are infectious microorganisms which can be transferred from person to person. If you want to find the man who has contributed most to the saving of human lives from infectious diseases, you inevitably will come across Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur was born in 1822 in France to a Catholic family of a poor tanner. After he had finished his basic education and after many more years of study, Louis became professor of chemistry at the University of Strasbourg, where he met and dated Marie Laurent, daughter of the university's rector, in 1849. They were married that year and together had 5 children, only 2 of whom survived to adulthood. The other 3 died of typhoid. In 1863, Pasteur was appointed professor of geology, physics and chemistry at the École Nationale Supérieure des Beaux-Arts, a position he held until his resignation in 1867, when he received a chair at the Sorbonne University, and he was appointed director of a physiological chemistry laboratory, which was created at Pasteur's request. He was the laboratory's director from 1867 to 1888. In Paris, he established the Pasteur Institute, which was his own private research facility. He was its director for the rest of his life. Louis Pasteur started his work on microorganisms with a very practical issue. He demonstrated that a tiny microorganism in yeast is responsible for the fermentation of sugar into alcohol. He also demonstrated that when a different microorganism contaminates the wine, lactic acid is produced, making the wine sour. This led Pasteur to the idea that microorganisms causing fermentation could also be the cause of certain diseases. Most likely, his personal tragedies caused by the death of 3 of his own children by typhoid motivated him strongly to find a cure for infectious diseases. Having studied many cases of childbed fever among pregnant women at the hospitals, he declared before a medical society that he had seen its cause, microbial predators. He drew a picture on the board resembling a rosary of berries, which we now know as Staphylococcus, making for a chain of coccus microbes. He discovered other coccus forms of pathological microbes, some of them arranged in bunches like grapes, then called staphylococci. He then proposed preventing the entry of microorganisms into the human body, which would soon lead to antiseptic methods in surgery. All of this was done while remaining a devout Catholic. The more I study nature, he said, the more I stand amazed at the work of the Creator. End quote. He just could not understand the failure of some scientists to recognize the existence of the Creator in the world around him. Yet he advocated separation of science and religion. As he put it, quote, in each one of us there are two men, the scientist and the man of faith or of doubt. These two spheres are separate. End quote. Thus he advocated that the man of faith can be a co-worker in God's creation, and thus can help mankind to rise above disease and poverty by applying scientific principles in biomedical research. He died in 1895 with the rosary in his hand, after listening to the life of Saint Vincent de Paul, which he had asked to have read to him, because he thought that his own work, like that of Saint Vincent de Paul, would do much to save suffering children. Louis Pasteur is another one of those Catholics who changed the world we live in. He helped humanity to identify germs and to keep them and their victims under control. This is one of the 60 chapters in the book 60 Scientists Who Changed the World. You will find them all on the list, and if you like that book, and after you have heard this, don't think that it's all about biomedical. There are many other ones. Some are just theologians or bishops or authors or people who made books. You will find them all in this book. It is such a rich source of all things we know about Catholics.